His hands were still on my waist when I said, "I do." Our guests had not even left the wedding reception when I pressed my back against the restroom door at the venue, lips swollen, gown hiked up around my hips. But it was not my husband kissing me breathless. It was someone else. And in that moment, I forgot every vow I had just made. Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here. To all my loyal subscribers, I love you. And to all my new and returning viewers who have not yet subscribed, I am so glad you are here. I truly cannot wait for you to hit that subscribe button, because your support is the fuel and energy that keeps this channel alive. Make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments as this story unfolds. I want to hear everything. Now, let me take you into my truth. My name is Hannah. I was 32 when I married the man who made me feel safe. Mark was every kind of good. He brought me soup when I was sick. He rubbed my feet after long shifts at the hospital. He was the kind of man who would text, "Let me know when you get home safe," even after we had been married 6 months. I met him at my church's volunteer program. He was not flashy. Not loud. But dependable in a way that made my anxious heart breathe easier. He proposed after 2 years. I said yes with tears in my eyes. He deserved forever. But the truth was, I did not feel ready for forever. Not with him. Not with anyone. The wedding was beautiful. Simple. Garden style. My best friend Ivy caught the bouquet. Everyone said I looked like a vision in white. I felt like a lie in satin. Because deep inside me, something wild still lived. Something restless. Something hungry. And that part of me woke up the day I met Damon. He was not at the wedding. He was not in my life at that point. But he was coming. Like a train you hear before it hits you. 2 months into marriage, I started working at a private physical therapy clinic. Damon was the lead trainer. He had that smooth swagger, the kind you pretend not to notice, but your body reacts before your brain decides. Tall. Mixed race. Muscular in that careless, I don't try hard, I just look like this, kind of way. He smelled like cedarwood and trouble. And when he looked at me, I swear I forgot how to spell my own name. He was not polite like Mark. He was confident. Blunt. The kind of man who called me out when I wore my hair differently, who noticed my lipstick shade had changed. He made me feel visible in a way that was dangerous. The flirting started with innocent jokes. But I felt the shift the day I accidentally brushed his hand in the break room. His thumb grazed mine. Neither of us moved. Our eyes locked. I walked away, but my thighs were shaking. I told myself it was harmless. Just attention. Just a spark. But you and I both know, sparks set things on fire. One Friday night, Mark had a migraine and told me to go ahead and meet Ivy at the wine bar alone. Ivy canceled last minute. But I did not go home. I texted Damon. I told myself I just needed a friend. A drink. A distraction. We met at a low-key bar downtown. Dark booths. Cheap whiskey. His hand brushed mine under the table and I did not pull away. By the third drink, we were no longer sitting across from each other. We were side by side. His leg touched mine. He leaned in close. Whispered something that melted between my thighs. I did not remember the drive back to his place. I remembered the way he pinned me to the wall inside his apartment like he had been waiting to do it for years. I remembered the sound of my wedding ring hitting the hardwood floor when I took it off. I remembered the way he kissed me like he knew I belonged to someone else, and loved it. It was not slow or sweet. It was desperate. Furious. Shameful. And I wanted every second of it. I woke up the next morning tangled in his sheets, lipstick smeared across my own neck, my dress wrinkled in a pile on the floor. I did not cry. I should have. But I did not. I stared at the ceiling while he slept beside me, and I felt nothing. No regret. No relief. Just silence. And that was the scariest part. When I got home, Mark was still in bed with a cold compress on his head. He smiled at me. I went into the bathroom and threw up. Not because I was guilty, but because I knew I was going to do it again. I did not sleep that night. Or the night after. Or the night after that. Even when I laid beside Mark, his arm across my waist, his chest rising and falling like the heartbeat of our home, I stayed wide awake. Guilt is not loud. It does not scream. It whispers. All night long. It whispers what you did. What you should have done. What you can never undo. Mark made pancakes Sunday morning. He sang along to his playlist while flipping bacon, dancing like the fool I married. He kissed my cheek, told me I looked beautiful with bed hair, and poured coffee into the mug with the words, "Wifey for lifey." I smiled. I drank it. And I wanted to scream. I tried to quit Damon after that night. Told myself it was a mistake. A one-time thing. A chemical slip-up. But there was something about being around him that made me forget what I promised. He was everything Mark was not. He was wild. He was hungry. He made me feel young again, and worse, he made me feel alive. I avoided him at work for 3 days. Took long lunches. Left early. But by Thursday, he cornered me in the supply room. He did not speak. He just looked at me like he already knew I would break again. And I did. His mouth was on my neck before I could open mine. My hands were under his shirt before I even remembered where we were. It was wrong. It was reckless. And I loved every second of it. I told myself it was not about love. It was about need. About adrenaline. About not wanting to live the same day for the next 30 years. Marriage had felt like a dream, until it started to feel like a cage. Damon was the open door I never meant to walk through. But I ran through it. Again. And again. I was living 2 lives. With Mark, I was still the attentive wife. I folded laundry. I laughed at his corny jokes. I kept his vitamins in a weekly pill box. I made love to him with my eyes closed and my heart in another room. With Damon, I was someone else entirely. Loud. Reckless. Daring. We would sneak into the gym after hours. He would lift me onto the front desk and tear through my clothes like he had waited days to taste me. He knew what I needed without me saying a word. He looked at me like I was fire. And I burned for him. But guilt is not the kind of thing you can shove in a drawer. It creeps in during the quiet. When Mark held me during movie night and I smelled Damon on my skin. When Mark bought us plane tickets for our 6-month anniversary getaway and I found myself wishing I could take Damon instead. When Mark whispered, "I love you," and I said it back too quickly. Because I needed to cover the hesitation. I started losing weight. My nails chipped. My eyes stayed puffy. I avoided mirrors. I barely recognized myself. Mark noticed. He asked me if I was okay. Asked if I was stressed. If work was getting to me. I told him I was just tired. I kissed his forehead and changed the subject. He never pressed. That made it worse. Because he trusted me, blindly. And I was slicing that trust open, one lie at a time. One night, I came home late after being with Damon. My blouse was wrinkled. My lipstick was smudged. I made up a story about traffic and Ivy's emergency. Mark was sitting at the table. His eyes did not move. He said nothing. Just stared at me for a full minute before getting up and going to bed. Something changed after that. He became distant. Quiet. He stopped reaching for me in the morning. Stopped kissing my forehead before leaving for work. I felt it. The shift. I thought maybe it was my imagination. Until the following week. when he called me from work and said he would be home late. That was unusual. Mark was nothing if not consistent. I texted him later. He did not respond for an hour. Then came a one-line message. I am just tired. Good night. My stomach twisted. I went into our closet and stared at my wedding dress, still hanging in plastic like a ghost from a life I had abandoned. For a moment, I imagined him with someone else. I imagined him doing to her what I had been letting Damon do to me. And for the first time, I felt real pain. Because no matter how far I had fallen, I had not imagined he would ever stop loving me. But that night, I felt it slipping. I met Damon the next morning at the hotel across from the clinic. I told him we needed to stop. He laughed. He touched my neck the way he always did, traced his finger along my collarbone like it belonged to him. I told him I was serious. He asked if I still wanted him. I could not answer. He kissed me anyway. I kissed him back. And we fell into bed again like the addicts we had become. But something was different. Something in me cracked. The way his hands moved over me, it felt forced. It felt hollow. My body reacted, but my heart flinched. I laid there afterward, cold and quiet, while he scrolled through his phone. That was the moment I knew I had not just hurt Mark. I had lost myself. Damon was not my escape anymore. He was my prison. When I got home, Mark's car was already in the driveway. I checked the time. It was earlier than usual. Inside, the lights were dim. He was sitting on the couch. The TV was off. There was a manila envelope on the coffee table. My heart dropped into my stomach. I walked over, blood pounding in my ears. He said nothing. He just looked at me. I picked up the envelope. Inside were photos of me and Damon kissing outside the gym, entering the hotel, holding hands in his car. I froze. He stood, walked toward me, stopped just inches away. His voice was calm. Too calm. How long? I opened my mouth. No words came out. Only tears. Big, messy, silent tears. He turned away. Went upstairs. Closed the bedroom door. I stood in the living room holding the evidence of my own betrayal, trembling. And that was when it hit me. This was not about Damon. It never had been. This was about the woman I had become when no one was watching. And now, someone had finally seen her. The next morning was quiet. Too quiet. Mark did not come down for breakfast. The bedroom door was still shut. I stood in the kitchen for 30 minutes, holding a cup of coffee that had gone cold in my hands. Everything felt unfamiliar. Even the light. I kept replaying the moment I found the photos. The way he had asked, how long? His voice too calm, like something inside him had already died. I texted him from downstairs. Please, talk to me. No response. Then I texted again. It was not love. It was a mistake. Please just let me explain. Still nothing. By noon, I was pacing. I felt like a child waiting for punishment, only worse, because I knew I deserved it. And still, part of me wanted to be forgiven. Wanted to be held. Wanted him to say, we will get through this. But silence answered every desperate hope I had. At 4:17 p.m., he finally came down. His eyes were red. He looked like he had aged 10 years overnight. He sat at the kitchen table while I stood, unsure if I should move closer. Then he said it. I followed you. For 2 weeks. I did not want to believe it. But I had to know. I felt the floor tilt beneath me. My mouth was dry. I tried to explain, but there are no words soft enough to cover the sound of trust shattering. He continued. You were my wife. Hannah, you were my life. He looked at me like he was staring at a stranger. Like he could still see my face, but not the soul he married. I cried. Begged. Promised to cut all ties with Damon. Swore that I would go to therapy. That I would do anything. He shook his head. This is not about Damon. This is about you. I stood there shaking, trying to form a defense for something indefensible. He leaned forward. Do you love him? I hesitated. That was my answer. He got up. Walked to the door. I will be staying at my brother's for now. I need space. Do not call me. Do not text. Then he left. And just like that, my marriage was no longer my reality. It was just a memory in a house that suddenly felt like a tomb. The days after were brutal. People noticed. His mother called. My sister called. I lied to both. Told them we were just having a rough patch. But I knew the truth was about to catch up to me. And it did, faster than I expected. One afternoon, Damon showed up at my house. He said he had seen the photos. Said Mark had sent them to him. He was furious. Not because of what we had done, but because Mark had the audacity to confront him indirectly. He could have come to me like a man, he said, pacing around my living room like he belonged there. I told him to leave. He laughed. So what, you are done now? You used me to feel something, and now you are crawling back to him? I told him it had never been love. That it was over. He stared at me for a long time. Then, with a bitterness I had never seen in him, he said something that knocked the air out of my lungs. You think he was the only one with secrets? I blinked. He leaned closer. You were not the only married one, Hannah. My world spun. I felt the room shrink. What are you talking about? He shrugged. I got a wife in Charlotte. Been separated a while. But not on paper. Not legally. You think I was gonna put that on the table while you were handing yourself to me on silver platters? My stomach turned. I backed away like he was fire. You are disgusting. He scoffed. Takes one to know one. Then he left. Just like that. Like he had never held me. Never whispered lies into my ear. Never pulled me into this downward spiral of lust and guilt. And in that moment, I realized what I had done was not just betrayal. It was self-destruction. Weeks passed. Mark never called. Never came home. I tried writing him letters. Handwritten. Raw. Full of every truth I had never dared to speak. I never sent them. Because what could I say? That I loved him? That I was sorry? That I had been selfish and stupid and weak? He knew all that already. One night, I drove to his brother's house. I sat outside for 2 hours but never knocked. I saw him through the window once, laughing with his niece, holding a bowl of popcorn. He looked okay. Not happy, but okay. I left. Because I knew my presence would only rewind his healing. 1 month later, he filed for separation. 2 months later, it was official. He never looked back. And Damon? He was gone before I even remembered to block his number. I heard he moved states. Probably found another girl with a missing piece in her marriage to crawl through. As for me, I stayed in that empty house for almost a year. No men. No dates. No affairs. Just silence. Therapy helped. Prayer helped more. But nothing healed me like accountability did. I looked in the mirror every day and faced her, the woman who made her bed with lies and then cried when she had to sleep in it. I hated her for a while. Then I forgave her. Because she was not evil. Just broken. Just afraid. And fear makes fools of us all. Today, I am not proud of what I did. But I am not hiding from it anymore. I said, I do, then did something unforgivable. But pain taught me something that pleasure never could. It taught me to be honest. With myself. With others. With God. I still think about Mark. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had just opened my mouth instead of my legs. If I had told him I was struggling instead of finding comfort in someone else's arms. But wondering does not change what is already written. All I can do now is live with it. And never, ever, lie to love again.